Everyone wants to move to a no-income tax state. I get it. It sounds like a cheat code for adulting. 0% nothing nada. You keep everything you earn. Pack up the U-Haul. Honey, we're moving to freedom. But here's the thing. Before you sell your house in California, buy that dream ranch in Texas, I need you to do something. Ask a Texan about their property tax bill. Go on. Watch their face. Watch the joy drain out of their eyes like water from a bathtub. Then ask a Floridian about their homeowner's insurance. Ask a Tennessean what they paid in sales tax last year. Ask a New Hampshire retiree if they actually own their home, or if they're just renting it from the town until they die. See, there's this dirty little secret in American tax policy, and it's called tax shifting. The government always gets its cut. Always. The only question is how they take it from you. Income tax is visible. It's on your paycheck. You see it leave. Property tax, sales tax, insurance that acts like a tax. That's death by 1,000 cuts. You don't see it until you're bleeding out financially. And here's the cruelest part. These cheap states don't tax the rich harder. They tax the poor and the middle class harder. It's called regressive taxation, and it's the greatest bait-and-switch scam in American economic history. I did the math. I ran the spreadsheets. I found the receipts. And trust me, you're not ready for what comes next. Let's break it down. Number 7, Tennessee. Tennessee, the volunteer state, home of Nashville, hot chicken, and absolutely zero state income tax. That's right, zero, whether you make $30,000 or $3 million. Tennessee doesn't touch your paycheck. Add in the country music vibes, but relatively affordable housing, and the fact that everyone there seems genuinely friendly. And you've got yourself a retirement paradise. At least, that's what the brochures say. People move here thinking they've escaped the tax man forever. They did the back of napkin math in their head. If I save 5% on state income tax, that's thousands of dollars a year. They're practically high-fiving themselves at the Tennessee welcome sign. But then the first shopping trip happens, and the second, and the third. And suddenly you're staring at receipts wondering why everything costs 10% more than you expected. Tennessee is the highest combined state and local sales tax rate in the entire United States. We're talking 9.5 for 8% on average in some counties. It is 9.75%. Every single purchase you make, clothes, furniture, electronics. Eating out gets hit with a nearly 10% surcharge. And here's the kicker that makes retirees weep into their cornbread. Tennessee taxes groceries, yes. Food, the thing you need to survive. They tax it at 4% at the state level. Plus whatever your county adds on top. Let's run the numbers. Say you're a retiree couple with a modest $60,000 annual income. In California, assuming you take the standard deductions, you'd pay roughly $1 to $100 in state income tax. Sounds painful, right? Now, let's look at Tennessee. Zero income tax. Victory. But wait, if you spend $40,000 a year on taxable goods and services, which is conservative for a retired couple, you may pay nearly $4,000 in sales tax. If $8,000 of that is groceries, that's another $320 just to eat. California doesn't tax groceries at all. Zero. So that retiree couple escaping to Tennessee just traded $1,100 in visible income tax for $4,000 in invisible sales tax. They're paying more than 3 times as much, and they don't even realize it because it's spread across 1,000 tiny transactions. Does Tennessee tax food? Yes. Absolutely yes. They reduced it recently from 5% to 4%, and they acted like they deserved a medal for it. Meanwhile, 37 other states don't tax groceries at all. Tennessee is nickeling and diming you every time you buy bread, milk, and eggs. For retirees on fixed incomes who eat at home to save money, this is a gut punch disguised as Southern hospitality. I saw a comment on a retirement forum that said, "Moved from New Jersey to Tennessee to escape taxes. First year I saved about $4,000 on income tax. Second year I did the real math. Between sales tax, car registration, and everything being taxed at checkout, I'm paying $2,500 more than I did up north. My wife won't let me talk about it anymore. It's a sore subject. Tennessee doesn't have an income tax. It has a consumption tax on existing. Every time you buy anything, groceries, gas, a birthday card for your grandkid, the state takes its cut. The illusion of affordability dies at the cash register." Number 6. Kansas. Kansas, the heartland, wide open spaces, friendly neighbors, and housing prices that make coastal people do a double take. You can buy a 3-bedroom house here for the price of a parking spot in San Francisco. Plus, Kansas has that wholesome, salt-of-the-earth energy, low crime in most areas, for seasons. Real community, people wave at each other. It feels like the America from the movies. But then you file your first Kansas tax return, and you discover something that should be illegal. Kansas taxes Social Security benefits. Not fully, and not for everyone. They recently raised the exemption threshold. But if your adjusted gross income is above $75,000, which isn't exactly rich, especially for a couple with pensions, an investment income, Kansas starts taking a bite out of your Social Security check. The very money you already paid federal taxes on. The money you earn over a lifetime. Kansas says, that's nice. We'll take some too. And it doesn't stop there. Kansas has a 6.5% state sales tax, and they tax groceries at the full rate. Full rate. Not reduced. Not exempt. If you buy a steak, you're paying 6.5% plus whatever local tax your county slaps on. In some areas, that's nearly 10% just to put food on your table. Let's compare. A retired couple in Massachusetts, supposedly a high-tax state with $75,000 in income, pays about $3,400 in state income tax. But Massachusetts doesn't tax Social Security at all, and Massachusetts doesn't tax groceries at all. That same couple in Kansas, if their income structure triggers the Social Security tax, and they spend $10,000 a year on groceries at a combined 8.5% rate, they're paying $850 just on food tax and property taxes, which in Kansas average around 1% of home value, meaning the $200,000 home costs you $2,800 a year just to exist in, and suddenly Kansas isn't cheap anymore. The savings evaporate. You traded one visible tax for 3 invisible ones, and the invisible ones don't care that you're on a fixed income. Does Kansas tax food? Yes. And they're one of only 13 states that tax groceries at the full rate with no reduction. Let that sink in. You can buy a lottery ticket in Kansas and pay less tax per dollar than when you buy bread. The state legislature has talked about reducing it for years. They keep talking. The tax keeps collecting. Found this gem. Retired to Kansas from Illinois thinking I was escaping the tax nightmare. First year, got a letter from the state saying I owed $1,100 because I didn't properly report my Social Security. I'm 68. I've paid into Social Security for 45 years. And Kansas wanted a piece of it. Called my brother in Florida. He laughed until he remembered his insurance premium. Kansas markets itself as affordable. It is. If you don't eat, don't collect Social Security, and don't mind your property tax bill climbing every year. For retirees, it's not a haven, it's a trap with a nice sunset view. Number 5. New Hampshire, New Hampshire. Live free or die. It's literally on the license plates. This tiny New England state has turned tax avoidance into a cultural identity. No state income tax. No state sales tax. It sounds like a libertarian fever dream. You earn money. Keep it. You spend money. No surcharge. Just you and your freedom. Baby, people move here from Massachusetts and New York thinking they found the promised land. Beautiful mountains, quaint villages, actual seasons, and no tax on your paycheck or your purchases. What's not to love? The property tax. That's what's not to love. New Hampshire has some of the highest property taxes in the entire nation. We're talking an effective rate of 1.93% on average. That doesn't sound bad until you realize New Hampshire home prices aren't cheap anymore. The median home price is now over $450,000. And in the desirable southern part of the state near Boston, you're looking at $500,000 to $700. Zero easily. Do the math. A $500,000 home at a 1.93% property tax rate means you're paying nearly $10,000 per year just to exist in your house. That's $833 a month. Not for your mortgage, just for the privilege of not being foreclosed on by the town. And unlike income, which can go down in retirement, your property value tends to go up. Or at least the assessed value does. New Hampshire towns reassess regularly. And when your market value increases. So, as your tax bill, you're not building equity, you're building a liability. Let's compare. Apples to apples. A retiree in California with a home worth $500,000 pays roughly $5.00 in property tax thanks to Prop 13 protections that cap assessment increases. That same retiree in New Hampshire, zero income tax, sure, but their property tax bill is $9,650. They're paying $2,650 more per year just to live free. And if home values increase, which they have dramatically, post-pandemic your tax bill increases with them. In California, you're protected. In New Hampshire, you're exposed. Is New Hampshire tax food? No, they don't have a sales tax on anything. Remember, this is the one bright spot. Groceries are genuinely untaxed. But here's the dark joke. You save $500 a year on grocery tax and pay $10,000 a year on property tax. It's like being proud you didn't buy coffee while making payments on a yacht you can't afford. A poster wrote, "Moved to New Hampshire from Connecticut to escape taxes. My income tax dropped to zero. My property tax bill is $11,400 a year. I did the math last winter. I'm paying $2,000 more per year than I did in Connecticut, and now I have to shovel my own driveway because there's no town services." Life free or die isn't a motto. It's a threat. New Hampshire doesn't have taxpayers, it is renters who think they're owners. You never truly own your home here. You rent it from the town. Stop paying property tax and see how fast they take it from you. The die part of the motto starts making more sense every year. Number 4. Nebraska. Nebraska, the good life. That's the state slogan, and honestly, it's not wrong. Low crime, affordable housing, friendly communities, a median home price around $140,000 statewide. Plus, Nebraska has no reputation for being a tax hellscape. It's not Texas, it's not Florida, it's just Nebraska. Boring, safe, affordable. Right? Wrong. Nebraska has a three-pronged attack on your wealth that starts while you're alive and continues after you're dead. First, property taxes. Nebraska's effective property tax rate is about 1.65%, which puts it in the top 10 highest in the nation on a $100,000 home. That's $3,300 a year, and they reassess regularly, so don't expect that number to stay flat. Second, Nebraska taxes Social Security benefits for higher earners. If your adjusted gross income exceeds $45,000 for single filers or $60,000 for joint filers, you start paying state income tax on your Social Security. Yes, the benefits you already paid into. Third, and this is the knife in the back, Nebraska has an inheritance tax, not an estate tax, which kicks in at millions of dollars. An inheritance tax, which applies to the people receiving your assets. If you leave money to anyone other than a spouse or charity, they owe Nebraska a cut. Nieces, nephews, friends, even distant relatives, taxed up to 18% depending on relationship. You pay while you're alive. Your loved ones pay when you're dead. Nebraska always gets its cut. Compared to Pennsylvania, a state people assume is expensive. Pennsylvania has a flat 3.07% income tax, but doesn't tax retirement income, including Social Security and pensions. Property taxes average around 1.5%. No inheritance tax for direct descendants. A Nebraska retiree with $70,000 income at $100,000 home and modest Social Security could easily pay for $1,000 in property tax plus $500 $1.00 in Social Security tax. Their total tax burden rivals or exceeds Pennsylvania's, and when they die, their family gets hit again. Pennsylvania looks expensive. Nebraska is expensive. The difference is Nebraska lies about it. Does Nebraska tax food? No. Nebraska exempts groceries from sales tax. This is one genuine win. But don't celebrate too hard. They'll get that money back through your property tax bill, your Social Security taxation, and eventually your inheritance. One commenter shared, "Dad retired to Nebraska for the peace and quiet. Paid about $3,800 a year in property taxes on a $185,000 house when he passed. My sister and I found out we owed the state 12% of our inheritance because we raised remote relatives, not strangers. His kids. Nebraska charged us to grieve. Never again. Nebraska doesn't just tax you while you're alive. It taxes you from the grave. Your property, your Social Security, your inheritance. They've built a system to extract money at every stage of life and death. The good life ends with a bill. Number 3. Illinois. People look at Illinois and think, I get Midwest affordability with big city access. Best of both worlds, the pension crisis. That's the trap, and it's not a trap you can see coming until you're already drowning. Illinois has over $100 billion in unfunded pension liabilities. Past governments made promises to workers they couldn't keep, and now the bill is coming due. How does the state pay for it? Property taxes specifically. Some of the highest property taxes in America. Illinois' effective property tax rate is to 0.08%, the second highest in the nation, but that's just the average. In Cook County and the collar counties around Chicago, rates can hit to 0.5%, 3%, even higher depending on the town. A $300,000 home in a Chicago suburb can easily cost you $7,500 to $9,000 a year. In property taxes, and here's the nightmare, it's getting worse every year. Towns keep raising rates to cover pension obligations they can't escape. It's a death spiral. The more taxes go up, the more people leave. The more people leave. The smaller the tax base, the higher the rates must go. You're not buying a home in Illinois. You're buying into a sinking ship. Let's compare to New Jersey, famously the highest tax state. New Jersey's effective property tax rate is to 0.1%. But New Jersey doesn't have a pension crisis at Illinois' scale. New Jersey's home values have stabilized and even increased. Illinois property taxes keep climbing while home values in many areas flatline or decline. You're paying more for an asset that isn't appreciating. A retiree buying a $300,000 home in suburban Chicago pays $6,500 per year in property tax. The same money in Indiana buys a similar home with a $2,400 property tax bill. That's a $4,000 annual difference over 20 years of retirement. That's $80,000 gone. And Illinois taxes retirement income, pensions for 101Ks, IRAs all taxable at 4.95%. So, you're getting hit twice, once on income, again on property. And the property side is spiraling out of control. Does Illinois tax food? Mostly no. They have a reduced rate of 1% on groceries instead of the full 6.25% sales tax. It's something. But that 1% still adds up when you're on a fixed income. And they tax prepared food at the full rate. So eating out or buying deli meals gets expensive fast. One particularly bitter comment bought a house in the Chicago suburbs in 2015. Property taxes were $6,100. Now they're $9,100. My assessment went up even though the house next door sold for less than what I paid. I'm not building equity. I'm funding a pension system for people I'll never meet. I want out, but who's going to buy this thing? It's a prison with a lawn. Illinois isn't a state. It's a Ponzi scheme with property taxes. The government made promises it couldn't keep, and now it's extracting the cost from homeowners who had nothing to do with those decisions. Buy a home in Illinois, and you're not investing in your future. You're paying for someone else's past. Number 2, Florida. Florida, the Sunshine State, the ultimate retirement destination. No state income tax, beaches, warm weather year-round, golf courses as far as the eye can see. Your Social Security, untaxed. Your pension, untaxed. Your 401k withdrawals, untaxed. On paper, Florida is the retiree cheat code. Pack up, move south, and keep every dollar you saved. The population boom proves it. Florida is the fastest growing state in America. Everyone's moving there. It must be good, right? Insurance. That's the trap. And it's a trap that's sprung shut in the last 5 years. Florida's property insurance market has collapsed. Not struggling. Not stressed. Collapsed. Insurers have fled the state. Those remaining have tripled and quadrupled their rates. The average Florida homeowner now pays over $6,000 per year for property insurance, nearly 3 times the national average. In high-risk areas, which is most of Florida, let's be honest, premiums can hit $10,000, $15,000, even $20,000 per year. And that's if you can get coverage at all. Many homeowners have been dropped entirely and can't find anyone to insure them at any price. This isn't a tax on paper, but it functions exactly like one. You have to pay it. You have no choice. If you have a mortgage, insurance is mandatory. If you don't have a mortgage, you're gambling with your entire net worth every hurricane season. And it's not just home insurance. Auto insurance in Florida is also among the highest in the nation, averaging over $1,500 per year. Flood insurance, which isn't included in standard policies, can add another $1,000 to $3,000 annually. Let's do the comparison. California retiree, $80,000 income for $100,000 home. California, state income tax till $2,000 for $100, property tax till for $1,000 thanks Prop 13. Home insurance till $1,500. Auto insurance till $1,800. Total till $9,700. Florida retiree, same income, same home value. Florida, state income tax $0. Property tax till $3,000 for $100. Florida's rate is around 0.86%, which is genuinely low. Home insurance till $7,000. Auto insurance till $2,800. Flood insurance till $1,500. Total till $14,700. The Florida retiree pays $5,000 more per year, and they get nothing for it except the privilege of not being dropped by their insurer. At least in California, that income tax funds schools, roads, and services. Florida's insurance premiums fund shareholder dividends for companies that might leave the state anyway. Oh, and HOA fees. Florida is HOA Central. Average HOA fees run to $150 for $100 per month. That's another $3,000 for $1,800 per year. Try not paying it and watch how fast they put a lien on your home. Does Florida tax food? No. Florida exempts groceries from its 6% sales tax. This is genuine, but they tax almost everything else. And when your insurance bill looks like a mortgage payment, saving for $100 a year on food tax doesn't feel like a victory. Florida doesn't have an income tax. It has an insurance tax. And unlike income tax, which scales with your ability to pay, insurance hits everyone the same. A retiree on $50,000 pays the same $8,000 premium as a CEO on $5 million. That's not freedom. That's the most regressive tax in America, and that doesn't even fund anything public. Florida isn't a tax haven. It's a subscription service for survival. Number 1. Texas. Texas. The ultimate freedom state. No state income tax. Cheap land. Big houses. A culture that practically screams, "Don't tread on me." Everyone from California, everyone from New York, everyone from everywhere, they're all moving to Texas. Austin is booming. Dallas is sprawling. Houston is massive. The energy is undeniable. The median home price is around $340,000 statewide, which buys you a lot more square footage than the coasts. You can get a 4-bedroom home with a yard for what a condo costs in Los Angeles. Property values seem reasonable. The job market is strong. And that zero income tax is the cherry on top. Texas markets itself as the place where you escape the government, keep your money, and build your American dream. But Texas has the highest effective property tax burden in America. And it's not even close. The average effective property tax rate in Texas is around 1.68%. That doesn't sound extreme until you realize 3 crucial things. First, Texas doesn't have income tax, so property tax is the primary revenue source. Towns, counties, school districts, and special taxing districts all pile onto your property tax bill. It's not one tax. It's a dozen taxes stacked in a trench coat. Second, Texas reassesses your property value aggressively every single year. When your home value goes up, which it has, dramatically, over the past decade your tax bill goes up proportionally. There's a 10% cap on annual assessment increases for homesteads. But in a market where values doubled in 5 years, that cap just means you're climbing the ladder slower, not escaping it. Third, there's no Proposition 13 style protection here. In California, your property tax is locked to your purchase price. In Texas, it's locked to current market value. You didn't sell. You didn't realize any gain. You just watched your mandatory annual payment increase by 43%. This is effectively a wealth tax on the middle class. The rich don't care. $15,000 property tax bill on a $900,000 home is rounding error to them. But a retiree on a fixed income watching their tax bill climb from $5,000 to $8,000 to $10,000 while their income stays flat. That's financial ruin in slow motion. Let's compare to the boogeyman, California. California retiree, $75,000 income, buys a $500,000 home, state income tax, till $1,800. Property tax year 1, till $5,500. Property tax year 10 with Prop 13, till $6,100. Total year 10, till $8,000. Texas retiree, same income, same home price. State income tax, $0. Property tax year 1, till $8,400. Property tax year 10, after assessment increases, till $11,500. Total year 10, till $11,500. The Texas retiree is paying $3,500 more per year after a decade, and it gets worse every year. By year 20, the California retiree is still paying under $9,000 total. The Texas retiree is potentially over $15,000. Here's the cruelest part. Income tax ends when you stop working. It scales to your ability to pay. But property tax never ends. It's due every year you're alive. It goes up even when your income goes down. It doesn't care that you're retired. It doesn't care that your pension didn't get a cost of living adjustment. Texas has built a tax system that punishes you for owning assets. And when you're a retiree whose primary asset is your home, that punishment is precise and relentless. Does Texas tax food? No. Groceries are exempt from Texas's 6.25% state sales tax, though local sales taxes can still apply. This is good. But when your property tax bill is $12,000 a year, saving $500 on food tax is meaningless. You're not winning. You're just losing more slowly. Texas doesn't have taxpayers. It has tenants. You think you own your home. Try not paying property tax for a year. Texas will sell it out from under you faster than you can say, "Don't tread on me." The whole Texas narrative is a con. They don't tax income because they tax existence. They tax you for having the audacity to own something, and they reassess every year to make sure you're paying the maximum. It's not freedom. It's a subscription model for your own home, and the price goes up every year. California taxes you on what you earn. Texas taxes you on what you own, and what you own keeps getting more expensive to keep, whether you like it or not. So there it is. 7 states, 7 traps, 7 lessons in how the government always gets its cut. Tennessee nickels and dimes you at the cash register. Kansas punishes you for collecting Social Security and eating food. New Hampshire makes you a permanent renter in your own home. Nebraska follows you to the grave and taxes your kids for grieving. Illinois is a sinking ship where property taxes rise while home values don't. Florida turned insurance into a regressive tax that hits retirees harder than millionaires. And Texas built a system that punishes you for owning anything. The zero-income tax marketing is the greatest bait-and switch in American fiscal history. They're not giving you freedom. They're shifting the tax burden from income, which scales to your ability to pay, to consumption, property, and insurance, which hit the poor and middle class the hardest. If you're planning a move, especially for retirement, I'm begging you, don't look at the income tax line. Look at the whole bill. Property tax, sales tax, grocery tax, vehicle tax, insurance costs, HOA fees. Calculate your actual cost of living, not the fantasy version the State Tourism Board sells you. Run the spreadsheets. Do the math. Because every real estate agent, every relocation website, every top 10 states for retirees listicle has an agenda. And that agenda is not your financial well-being. The government always gets its cut. The only question is whether you see it coming. I did the math so you don't lose your house. You're welcome.